Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Marvel Rivals Ignite cast. Just so you know, I was live streaming when I started recording these games, so make sure that you follow the Twitch that is in the link in the description. Today, we are jumping in on EMEA for our qualifying game. As I was talking about, I was live streaming. Hello, Mixin! Jumping back in first try once again. So we have a double feature of the EMEA Open qualifiers here, with these teams moving on to Qualifier 4. Marvel Rivals Ignite. We're going to be starting off with BloodKariudo versus Schmungus, and then we'll be moving on to Blacklisted versus not OTPs. Let's jump on into our first game in these two best of threes. And as we load on in, a quick shout out, as usual, to our YouTube members who help keep the channel going and help keep everything under control and help me, keep making content for everybody. Ah, they've turned off their names for this one. That does make my job a little bit more difficult, but we will manage. We will know which way round they are because we know the players. But a shout out to our members. We have Dump Alt, Lucas Tyson, Arso, Doki Poki, and John. Thank you all for your support. And thank you everyone on the Twitch for the support as well. So, on the left-hand side, it is going to be Schmungus, and on the right, BloodKariudo. Winner qualifies for Marvel Rivals Ignite, and loser will be sent down to the lower bracket, as in EMEA there were 6 spots available, meaning that either one of these teams that get taken out will have one more shot, one more game to qualify if they lose, but of course winning means you do not have to go through that extra series. The Punisher has leapt up massively in terms of priority, in terms of picks and bans. With the new patch coming out, that's going to be banned away quite quickly by BloodKariudo. Let's see where we go from here. Currently, Necros is hovering the magic. We haven't seen much of the magic so far this season in terms of Season 2 or Season 2.5. There goes the Iron Man taken out. For one of the first times in a very long time, it does look like Andrew may have the option to play that Venom as it is protected by Schmungus. Wolverine going to be secured here. Good counter into EMEA if they're able to get past that diamond form. Good setup against the Groot if that's been picked up, as it's not been picked or banned yet. And can even be solid into Magneto when needed. Lunar Snow also going to be protected. There's still Storm, there's still Jeff, the Jeff-nado, which massively leapt up in priority in these qualifiers in certain regions. The question is, did that carry over to the EMEA games? Final ban of BloodKariudo. They take out the Black Panther, removing that from Schmungus. A little bit of backline dive potential. Loki is banned out, so that's going to be a lot of that protection against burst backline divers. So it's a sensible removal here. And Adam Warlock taken out as well. Flyers still potentially here for options. So taking out Adam can prevent Star-Lord from getting a little bit too powerful here. We're seeing Ultron for both sides. Triple strategist with Ultron acting as sort of a pseudo second duelist with a little bit of healing. Seems to be the way that most people are playing him right now. A flyover hit scan ability is pretty solid. Hela also was not banned out. Neither was Hawkeye. We may see that Hawkeye Lunar Snow combo as Leo is currently hovering that. We've already been introduced to these players many times, so we will not go over a full introduction here. But Andrew is on the Venom here, even without Necros as Spider-Man. But they're still giving themselves a little bit of an option here. This will allow Necros to swap later if needed. And of course, that Venom is still great at harassing the backline. Andrew is insanely strong on this. Necros has already shown what he can do with this Ultron as well. We'll keep an eye, see if that works out for them. But here is the Hawkeye being hovered. But there we go. They are going to be running with that Lunar Snow. Getting that stun team up. Hawkeye, if they can land the shots, then taking out these flyers, or this one flyer in this case, could be extremely effective. So Sonic Boom not finding anyone on the back line. Finds a couple shots onto Craggy. Not enough for the burst yet. But they're creeping forward. Monkey starting off with the Groot, with the Wolverine. Will be protected, but it's not going to be picked up as of yet. Meaning that Schmungus have to play a little bit further forward here, but they've got to be a little bit more cautious. Because if Monkey can find an isolation onto anyone here with these Thorn Lash walls. Right now just continuing to put pressure onto Andrew, who's just diving in and out constantly. Onto the backline, just trying to deal with the strategist, doing huge damage here. And that's going to be a huge blow up. Zenny and Kath both down. That's all the healing, except for Crazy Kitty, who will get taken out as well by KG. Necros gets Monkey, and it is Schmungus in dominant position in this first round. This is, of course, a best of 3. Plenty of opportunity for the BloodKariudo comeback, but Schmungus, for the moment, have a dominant setup. Crazy Kitty landing some good shots, though, onto Necros. Trading some shots. Landing onto Craggy. Here they come with the Rage of Ultron. Immediately onto the backline as Meteor M. Point blank from Bogor will shut that down, though. Once again, Andrew diving into the backline will get stunned out here, taking quite a bit of damage, but is still Venom. Able to swing away without too much trouble. Leo pulling back a little bit here. Doesn't want to get picked off here. Forced to retreat. Gonna wait it out and swaps over to the Winter Soldier. The Hawkeye not working out for him here. Try and set up Craggy, was picked off, making their way back in as Andrew does go down here. Kath picking up the finishing blow as Necros takes to the sky. Media M will be landing, but the Rage of Ultron is doing some good damage, but it's being completely out-sustained. Necros drops low, tries to Imperative Firewall, goes down. Kath with the fade of both worlds. Desley, with the invisible boundary to keep the team topped up and hold this as Craggy takes themselves to the sky. KG with their own fate of both worlds. Zenny with the invisible boundary as Crazy Kitty with the Rage of Ultron is trying to deal with that defending force as they're starting to split the fate of both worlds. Getting close to expiring, and again, they're going to try and focus onto Andrew, which they will. And we're starting to see a little bit of a stagger here, as many members of Schmungus are getting picked off one by one, as that card is creeping forward. That's going to be point number 1. Going over to BloodKariudo. Schmungus pull back to the new defensive position. Craggy looking for some extra shots, looking for some burst damage. Just playing nice and defensively here. Leo has Kraken Impact at the ready. Bionic Hook onto Andrew. Keep him locked down to prevent them shielding up, but Andrew able to swing away. Nice Soul Siphon, not enough for the finishing blow. Bogor's currently holding the front line as best as they can. They kind of have to just fully rely on themselves here. Here comes the Rage of Ultron again for Crazy Kitty. Meteor M to try and block it out. Using it for healing this time, just keeping their team topped up. Meteor M will find no one. Ultimate Economy currently in favor of BloodKariudo as Monkey has Meteor M and Leo has that Kraken Impact, which they've been holding onto for so long right now. Being extremely patient, needs a little bit of healing. Will get some. Andrew's continuing to be annoying on the flank. Dropped low, frenzied arrival to get out of danger. Here comes the Psionic Seduction from Gator to pull in Andrew to try and lock him down as the Kraken Impact's coming in from Leo. That's going to be the triple to begin this fight and to end it as Bogor goes down. One more reset left available, chasing them all the way back to spawn. But we'll just back away, back to the point so that they can rejoin up with their team. And point number 2 over to BloodKariudo as well. They are still pushing in. Andrew moving onto the Emma Frost themselves here. Moving away from the Venom. Gator moving off the Groot onto this Emma. Is working out extremely well for them on that second point here. Focus down. Knocked around a bit. Has the Diamond Form to get out of danger. But will tank on through here. Here comes the Rage of Ultron from Crazy Kitty and from Necros as they trade shots back and forth, but neither one seems to be able to find an elimination. Healing output just a little bit too good right now. Desley and Zeddy both have that invisible boundary. A lot of ground is starting to be claimed by BloodKariudo as Desley and Zeddy will both drop their invisible boundaries to try and set themselves up. Craggy, bionic hook, able to pull someone in, but not enough for the finishing blow as they push on in. Bogor with the Meteor M. Craggy gets the double set up there, which is potentially going to be a full team wipe as Crazy Kitty is forced to retreat. Craggy, one more reset, not going to use it. Knows they can't really reach as they move into the defensive position. Schmungus with the hold. Hello, Leo. Wow, that's a coincidence. Leo is actually in the chat. Bionic hook taken out immediately. Leo with the shot there. Arriving at the perfect time. Bionic hook landing into the illusionary clone. Pushing in, Soldier's Fist wipes out Bogor as Crazy Kitty takes out one and Leo is taking out Andrew as well. Pushing in towards point number 3. Who is left to hold right now? Necros does have that Rage of Ultron, but they need bodies on the point. Andrew may have to swap to Venom if this first push does not work out in order to try and delay this. Leo taking in the shots. In comes Necros with the Rage of Ultron to try and take out the backline to give their team some time to try and duel in the front, but the Fate of both worlds will prevent this. And Leo is looking for the opening, pulling in Necros, looking for the finishing blow, but that counter Fate of both worlds from KG is shutting it down. Psionic Seduction into the Kraken Impact, trying to focus onto Necros, even though they won't get the resets. They might have set themselves up for a turnaround gain. The Psionic Seduction will not find anyone else. Psychic Spear to try and burst through Bogor. KG with the Craggy, with the counter, trying to make the way in, but gets immediately burst by Crazy Kitty. The invisible boundaries from both sides. But Desley, if they go down, their team loses that healing focus down. Will stay up. Bogor takes out Kath. Gator takes out Desley, and Leo and Zeddy both go down. It looks like Schmungus may be able to hold this as they push on through. Crazy Kitty is trying to duel, trying to take out Andrew, but Andrew barely makes it out. And it looks like we may be resorting to a portal play for the side of BloodKariudo with 20 seconds left. A couple members already running in to buy some extra time here. No portal. They're just going to run it. 15 seconds remaining to try and touch the cart, which means the front line may have to be the ones to do so. Make their way in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With the Rage of Ultron, it is going to be touched, but Necros picks up the double, making it a triple, and suddenly that board is looking very empty. Gator is trying to delay, trying to buy time, but with overtime ticking down, this will be a hold by Schmungus at 2 points, 98 meters, 79 centimeters, as the team swaps sides. A very solid push by BloodKariudo there, almost getting the triple cap. Now the question is, can they hold? If they shut this down at point 1, point 2, halfway through point 3 will do. If they can shut this down, then they're in a good position. Bogor, looking at the penny. So far, we've seen a lot of pennies in spawn in order to get a little bit of armor on the team. But we've yet to see people rolling out with penny. And this would be a penny on attack. So I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing here. Teams loading on in, yet we'll see the nest. I still don't really get this because now you have 2 people throwing out armor, which means two people don't have armor by the end. There's more than enough time on a BRB for the armor to come out and heal up with the team when needed. They don't stack, so what is the purpose of doing both? You just get one less person with armor. Perhaps I am missing something, but I do not fully understand. Right now, Bogor's not even picking up armor. There we go. Finally going to grab it.
The battle starts in 5.
Funky set up in the defensive position. Gator sticking on this Emma Frost. They're going to go with the X-Men lineup. And they're just going to try and defend on the corner. No hyper-aggressive positioning here. As Craggy is once again on the Star-Lord. Already behind enemy lines here. Pushing in. And able to roll out before getting in too much trouble. Shots onto Gala, trying to find an opening here. Necros continuing to siege from the sky as the Guardian Barrier. Invisible Woman plus Ultron seems to be the go-to. Okay, I've actually just been informed that it is 50 air armor when you use both instead of 25. So that makes sense. Today I learned. Here there comes in the shots, pulled out of the sky though, with the Psionic Vortex. Necros tries to shoot on in, but it's going to be the invisible boundary that will block that. Thank you, Leo, for educating me today. Beautiful Bionic Hook will shut down Necros as Leo is going fishing and is able to find targets. Gets a second onto KG, and it is going to be a rout here as BloodKariudo are able to zone out, take position, and hold the line. Cart just around the corner now. Everyone on board to make that slowly back up. Crazy Kitty is landing so many shots here. The power of Ultron. It's solid damage output if you can land those hits. Craggy, once again, looking onto the flank. Has the drone. Imperative patch, Galactic Legend, Media M's going to be absorbing most of it as Bogol takes out Leo. There's the second with Craggy getting Crazy Kitty, and suddenly that defensive line is not looking so hot here, but down goes Craggy on the counter. Kath is trying to hold time with the Fate of both worlds. Psionic Seduction to pull in Necros, but there's no follow-up. No one else can do damage to get anyone here as Necros with the Rage of Ultron to clean out the defense here. And this is looking like point number one, maybe going over to the side of Schmungus, but not if BloodKariudo have anything to say about it. Waiting for the team to respawn so they can fight together, but they're set up for a portal. They're going to try and hold this. Oh, portal counter! Trying to pull them back by Craggy to delay them here. But they're still going to try and make it. Leo rushing on in. Knockback with the mag cannon from the Magneto. What a counter portal there from Craggy, letting their team secure point number one by buying enough time. Beautiful play here. Zenny's out of there. Monkey falls. And Craggy goes back to swap heroes. No need to stay on this stage. It was for the counter portal back to the Star-Lord. That is some heads-up play. That is beautiful. Necros sending in the shots. Crazy Kitty trying to take their way up to the high ground to find the counter play. Leo on the low ground, looking for anyone out of position. Kirk trying to land it, won't get him. Craggy is still getting focused down, taking a lot of damage onto the diamond form of Andrew to try and focus them down. For that damage reduction. Making it very hard to get the finishing blow. Blaster Barrage with the Iron Bulwark. Here comes the Rage of Ultron from both Ultrons here. Media M, every ultimate is being burnt here as Monkey takes out Desley. Leo looking for the reason if they can take out Bogor. Tries to Bionic Hook onto Craggy, prioritizing the bigger targets at the cost of their own ultimate and sniping Necros out of the sky. Bogor will get chased down, tainted voltage, and they've once again forced Schmungus back to spawn as Craggy has swapped to Wolverine. Looking to try and isolate those frontliners, get a punishing pickup here. Gonna make their way in. Gator up to the high ground here on this Emma Frost. Wrapping around. Psionic Seduction from behind! The 1, 2, 3, 4! It's insane! Everyone is getting locked down! It's a massacre! As Gator with the wraparound chases them down, takes out Bogor on the retreat, and Craggy makes it back to spawn. But what a play! From behind, Psionic Seduction. We'll call that a subconscious seduction as you do not see it coming. Crazy Kitty. Keeping the team topped up, still looking for the jewels, dodging away from Craggy, who went in for the shot. Necros with the Rage of Ultron. Same with Crazy Kitty as we see Crazy Kitty. Focused on the healing. Necros focused on the damage. The defensive position is more important for BloodKariudo. Kirk. Blocked by the metallic wall. Tainted voltage. Meteor M, cracking impact to try and burst on through, but the Fate of both worlds is too good. Meteor M even is absorbed, using the beautiful nice shield there to block that Bogle. Took out Crazy Kitty though. The Kraken impacts are coming in for Craggy. Using that Guardian barrier to block the Meteor M for the counter players. Craggy is cleaning up this time. And Schmungus break the line. BloodKariudo trying to regroup, set up for the defensive position. Bogle finding these Meteor M's when needed, as they will back up a little bit. Ultimate Economy still in favor of Schmungus for the moment, as they have that invisible boundary and are about to have silent seduction and will soon have that Rage of Ultron, whereas BloodKariudo almost have Rage of Ultron and silent seduction, but that is it. Invisible boundary dropped by Desley, and also dropping the Rage of Ultron from both sides once again. Crazy Kitty keeping their team up, trying to focus onto Andrew to take them out, which they will do. Holding on the defensive position, using cover imperative firewall for the extra shielding, trying to get the wraparound as we are in overtime. Reinforcements have to come out from Schmungus. Andrew onto the Strange, but someone needs to be touching for this to work, as they are going to attempt to do it, but no one is on the point, meaning that this will not make it. That is going to be game number 1, going over to BloodKariudo. Nicely done. MVP going over to Crazy Kitty as Ultron continues to dominate the beginning of Season 2.5. BloodKariudo take the lead. Let's look at these statistics here. Very high elimination numbers. 25, 26. It's going to be the tie at 29 between Andrew and Monkey for the most eliminations. Least amount of times getting eliminated will be a single person. Kath barely able to snipe that with only getting taken out 5 times, just beating out Necros, KG, and Zenny, all on 6. Everyone else, 7s or 8s. Top final hits, a 3-way tie between Andrew, Monkey, and Leo, all with 10 final hits. Very solid there. This does make the one with the highest KD, though, as Andrew. Only going to go taken out 7 times compared to Monkey and Leo's 8. Top damage. Very spread out. 24, 25, 25, 25, 25, 26, and 29,000. Craggy takes the top damage output here, just under 30k. The damage so spread out from everyone else, though. It's so equal across the board. Necros doing a little bit more damage than Crazy Kitty, though, but Crazy Kitty more healing, and we saw that. Necros was focusing a lot of those Rage of Ultrons onto their opponents, trying to focus in on damage. Crazy Kitty spent a lot more time focusing on healing. As such, they got 5k more healing, whereas Necros did 8k more damage. Top damage blocked. 49k would normally be enough, but in this case it's going to go over to iMonkey. 55k damage blocked on that Magneto. Fantastic defense here, absorbing so much damage while also dealing a pretty reasonable amount of damage and getting those 10 final hits as well. And top healing. The 32ks are solid. Even the Ultrons kept up with 24k and 29k respectively, but it will be Zenny with 36k as the top healer in that game. That is game number 1. Let me get us set up for game number 2. Reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, to like, comment, subscribe, to help out the channel in that way by helping boost the algorithm, and ring the bell so you can see when these games go live, when I do release these videos. Let me prepare the next replay. There we go. Looks like we're heading to Central Park for game number 2 of a possible 3. And for those watching on Twitch, thank you very much for the support. Remember, you can support on here by dropping a follow, dropping a subscription, which of course helps out, while the members get shouted out on YouTube. The Twitch subs get shouted out on the stream they're on, which of course could be right now if you wanted to. And Leo, Very nice win in that first game. Literally, Leo from the game I'm casting is now watching this because these are obviously the replay casts I'm doing because casters weren't allowed in the qualifier games. Because why would we want to see how teams qualify, eh? Why would we need to see that? That's crazy. Alright, let's head into round number 2 of this best of 3. Will Schmungus bring us to a 1-1 or will BloodKariudo close this out? Let's find out as we head on in. Team still the same way round. Schmungus on the left, BloodKariudo on the right. Let's see how this goes. Starting off once again with that Punisher ban, opening up the possibility for the Groot to be a little more effective. And of course, Punisher hit scan character, very effective against the Flyers. Gonna see the Emma Frost taken away here. Was a bit too strong last time. Gator with the flanking psionic seductions, proving a little bit too much to deal with. Venom once again protected, allowed for Andrew again. This time, though, we will see that protection of the Loki from BloodKariudo, giving them some backline protection in case we see something crazy from Schmungus, like potentially a Spider-Man or one of the other many dive characters. Black Panther we saw banned out earlier could be extremely powerful. Iron Man removed for a second time. This removes the team up with Ultron, and Iron Man is just quite strong at the moment. Really good damage output. Another Flyer to deal with. Can lead to more problems. No Jeff Nados over in EMEA so far. So far, we've mostly seen that from the Americas and the Oceania region. As Wolverine is protected once again, giving that potential Groot counter. Percentage damage, very welcome. As a lot of the percentage damage in this game has slowly been being removed. Magneto, and we see Ultron banned away, not wanting to deal with it. Crazy Kitty did an insane job, but they've decided it's better to ban it than to deal with it. And the Adam Warlock taken out once again, preventing those big Star-Lord compositions. Crazy Kitty is currently hovering on the Human Torch, and Leo is hovering Spider-Man. That would be a brave choice, but I'd like to see it. I don't think this will make it out the door. That is my theory, although Necros is considering it. They, of course, do have that Venom combo. Spider-Man and Venom together. And here is what we saw in the earlier qualifying games. Bogor moving over to that Doctor Strange, and Craggy gonna be bringing out the Scarlet Witch. Never mind, the Wolverine. And yeah, Necros is Spider-Manning.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Leo may actually be Spider-Manning as well. They're holding it in spawn, and Crazy Kitty is going to bring out that Human Torch, recently nerfed, but still extremely effective.
Are you actually a raccoon? We're gonna fight. Why? Maybe I should have said.
Gator is set up on the Thing. If they're concerned about Spider-Man, then that's a pretty reasonable option, but it looks like they're going to go with Doctor Strange.
3, 2, 1.
And Leo did swap over to the Winter Soldier, not going to Spider-Man this time. Looking for the flank. Try and catch anyone on the rotation. Crazy Kitty. Sieging in from above, can see Necros swinging around the outside of the map. As they look for anyone who they can just try and pull off the side, trying to get onto Zenny. Taken down so fast by Leo. Looking for the bionic hook. Finds a Loki clone and finds Bogor, who is isolated and absolutely bodied here. Andrew is now the target, swinging away, not too surprising. Blaster Barrage, trying to get onto Craggy, but Craggy just so nimble will finally get taken out once those mobility abilities are burned. Cook tries to find Andrew again, but they're also so nimble, so irritating. Trying to hold every extra second, which will buy time for the portal to come in from Bogor, and Craggy has now swapped over to the Scarlet Witch. Going for that Order and Chaos team up for maximum damage output, but Gator blocking it with the Magnet, with the Doctor Strange shield there, shutting down the portal engage, shutting down the siege, and that is point number 1 to BloodKariudo. Crazy Kitty. Siege again. Necros has also swapped over to the Human Torch. Starting to mirror the strats of BloodKariudo. But still sticking with this Scarlet Witch. We saw just how strong it can be. The damage output is very strong. Craggy was very effective in some of the earlier rounds with this. But can this work against BloodKariudo? Supernova coming out from Crazy Kitty. Craggy going to try and counter it. Invisible boundary to protect them, but they're going to find nothing with that reality erasure. Good evasion from the side of BloodKariudo. Eye of Agamotto into the backline, stuns out the strategists, but they can't get onto them. Meteor M from Monkey looks for Desley and will take them down with a point-blank shot. And we're starting to see a lot of blue names on that right-hand side of the elimination feed. Flaming Media comes on down. Gator was trying to portal to block them off, gets interrupted by Necros, who does have to pull back after taking a little bit too much damage. Rejoin their team as the card is moving on towards point number 2. Are they going to be able to touch? They don't make it onto the point in time. They have to back up as BloodKariudo grabs point number 2 right off the bat here. Extremely quick rotations. Leo. Nice Soldier's Fist, nice pickup, taking out Andrew once again. Bogor is down, and the cart continues moving. Crazy Kitty has now moved over to the Wolverine of their own. Keeping the line held, waiting, setting a trap. Necros is also hidden around the corner, waiting for anyone to step up just a little bit too far here. Leo with the hook there. Bionic hook onto Necros, forcing them to dash away. Pushing in, trying to get onto Monkey, who blocks it with the Iron Bulwark. And Necros trying to get out, will find the Loki, not enough for the blow up, and will get taken out instead. Invisible boundary was burned for this. Hiccups the counter from KG to keep them up. That is a Mantis coming in for the damage boost to try and let Craggy get the resets. Waiting for the Guardian Barrier, will land the hit, but gets absolutely bodied by Leo, who's reset number 1. Looking for number 2, Soldier's Fist, trying to get onto Bogor as the Meteor M did come in. Eye of Agamotto from above, Bionic Hook to lock them down and finish them off. That's a final stand though, but taken out again, and once again Necros is forced to retreat, but will go down. The cart keeps moving. Craggy is set up around the wall, but they need to make sure that they touch that cart as it is almost there. Tackled mid-air, blocked by Crazy Kitty, who went for a dash, blocking the Soldier's Fist, setting up a freeze, and that is the triple cap for BloodKariudo.
Including which side you're on.
BloodKariudo now
Need a top-notch team.
only 1 round away from qualifying for Marvel Rivals Ignite. If they can hold this anywhere before a triple cap, then Schmungus will be sent down to the lower bracket, and BloodKariudo will be qualified for Marvel Rivals Ignite. We have 1 more series after this for EMEA. And I'll potentially be moving over to Asia, depending on how my voice is doing. Let's have a look at the compositions. Looks like we're going to be sticking with this Scarlet Witch. Or maybe not. Holding still. Might be swapping. No, going to be sticking with it. Zenny on this Loki has been doing some huge work for their team so far. Loki firing squad set up on the high ground to siege on in.
But they ain't like you and me. Guys who look surprisingly good for how old they actually are. Living weapons.
Let's see what they can do. Doctor Strangers for both sides. Not waiting, not leaving it in the back to swap to it. in case they need to portal it at the last moment.
4, 3,
They're just going to run it the whole time.
all you need to do is capture the mission area.
Make their way outside. A Vortex to slow down the advance. Here comes the push. Craggy on this Scarlet Witch. Again, we have not seen much of it, but they're the team who likes to do it. Bogor gets absolutely isolated, but is able to escape back to the rest of their team. KG with this cloak and dagger is keeping the team topped up. Order and chaos. The Cthulian blast is doing so much damage here, but it's not enough to finish anyone here. That is Crazy Kitty flying around the map, but not able to find anyone this time. Leo tainted voltage, dropping everyone so low, but no one is going down. Traded up to the high ground. Looking for the positioning. Psionic Vortex, again, making it a little bit more difficult to take positioning. There's the isolation. Onto Bogor. Force push, but this time it's enough to isolate them as Craggy in full retreat. Not a fight they really want to be taking here. Going for another phase to get out of danger. And it's a retreat into spawn. A containment potentially about to be set up by BloodKariudo, but no, they know that it's impossible to try and contain right outside the entrance here. So instead they move back to the doorway here. Bogor looking to see if anyone was stepped up there. No one was there. They'd already backed up and they're back to Strange. And it's an immediate portal into the backline to skip this engage. Zenny's clones getting taken out nice and quickly. Crazy Kitty from behind through the portal, but that's a great force pull to knock them out here. Eternal Bond from KG, just dodging the Media Rem, keeping their team upright. I am Agamotto for Gator to try and keep the team topped up. There's the cloak. Kraken impact from Leo and Necros. Both of them trying to get the finishing blows, but neither one is finding a reset as no one is going down. Final stand. Andrew, it's a triple this time as Schmungus wipe out the defense of BloodKariudo. Cap is still here. They're going to try and delay, buying a little bit of extra time, but is it enough? The portal's coming. Go, 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 go. They touched it. The delay begins. There's so little time left. Bogor, I am going to push through the portal to shut it down. What a counterplay by Cap, who made it back to reinforce their team. Bogor goes down. They're pushing them back. BloodKariudo, it looks like that they'd lost that point number 1 for sure, but the sneaky invisible woman of Cap holds the line and then respawns, pushes back Bogor to prevent the reset, to prevent the Eye of Agamotto and shut them down. Necros is now on the hunt, wants revenge and will take them down. That felt personal, and this time it might be over. KG opened up the doorway there with that Eternal Bond. Necros took out one of the backliners. There's no portal for reinforcement this time. Venom plus Spider-Man, they're diving deep. Zenny is buying as much time as they can with the regeneration domain, but point number 1 does go over to Schmungus.
Get that vehicle to its destination.
I'm sure you'll do fine.
Making their way in. Crazy Kitty trying to push onto the point. Necros is looking for anyone who they can get a quick blow up onto. Swapping back to the Spider-Man right when they need it here, but there is a Wolverine. There is a Magneto. There is a Winter Soldier. Plenty of heroes who, if they can land it, could try and lock down Necros here. Not going to land it though, a little bit too mobile, but also did not find the elimination. Every ultimate is currently available. Eye of Agamotto stunning them down from Gator. Is that going to be enough damage? Final stand, that will be enough. Craggy will get the hit onto Gator, but the counter pickup, it is going to be almost a full team wipe here. BloodKariudo sending them back to spawn. Necros even having to retreat even a little bit further. Holding the line. Swinging in, going for the wraparound here. Zenny with the clone. Invisible boundary from the God of Mischief. Kraken impact. They're committing to this to try and break the lines, but no resets can be found in the meantime. Necros is still being irritating. Monkey found the pickup onto KG. Regeneration domain completely shuts down Necros. There it is, though. Spectacular spin. It's good. It's enough to take down Monkey. No one else goes down, though. Necros gets taken out. Ayamagamoto, though, will be enough to wipe the board. Crazy Kitty is trying to get away, but Bogor coming in with the siege is going to set them up. Going for a lockout here with the portals to try and prevent reinforcements. This is going to seriously stagger the reinforcements for the team. Oh, that might be off target because people do appear to be gently walking around it. Necros swapping off the Spider-Man onto the Human Torch, realizing these doorways are great target points. Flaming Media picks up the double. They've got the zoning. They're trying to hold. Ayamagamoto mid-air catches the torch, and they will go down. And once again, BloodKariudo are doing the impossible. What looks like a done deal might be delayed at least a little bit longer, but for the second time in a row, what looked like a done deal was delayed, but still was inevitable. As Schmungus are able to take point number 2, it is now a question of if Schmungus can get that triple cap. They have 2 minutes remaining. If they can get that triple cap, they're heading to overtime. Otherwise, it's all over. They'll be sent down to the lower bracket. Andrew trying to make an opening. Using this new Magneto skin. Wolverine charging through. Crazy Kitty trying to find a target, but will not get one. Leo look for a hook. There's Gator getting pulled out there by Craggy. Media M for Andrew. Good damage onto Crazy Kitty, but it's not enough for the finishing blow. Final stand out of the invisible boundary to try and burst on through. Crazy Kitty set that up beautifully. Not enough for the finishing blow, though. Eternal Bond to open up the entrance. Caught before they can cloak. KG goes down. Beautiful pickup there. Crazy Kitty is on point so far. Leo has that Kraken impact. Has not found as many resets as they did last game this time. Spider Coke going to be blocked by that Iron Bulwark, but finds Desley. Pushed off the edge, though. Nice pickup for Craggy. Showing the power of Wolverine on this map. Gator blocking it. You can see they expelled their Forbidden Magic, that Price of Magic. That is just because even though they're not going to do damage to everyone, the higher that charge in the center of the screen goes, the less healing they receive. So it's better just to burn it if you're not in the middle of a fight to make sure you can get topped up if the fight begins. Supernova from Necros to try and open up. Weaken the defenders. Sonic Vortex pulls them out of the sky. Gator is trying to find an opening. There's the pull from Wolverine. Ayamagamoto mostly blocked, but Craggy is still taken down. Counter Ayamagamoto, but Leo has finally opened up the can of Kraken, and they have cleaned them out here with 5 seconds remaining. Who is left? Craggy is trying to rush to the point. They can try and final stand it, but it's too late. The ambitious dive, but it's not enough as BloodKariudo with Kraken impact resets clean out Schmungus, take the 2-0, and we'll be moving on to Marvel Rivals Ignite. Zenny takes MVP in solid fashion. That is the 2-0 to BloodKariudo moving on into Ignite. We'll have to see how they do. Will they earn that spot in the international finals? It is not over for Schmungus. They will have another chance in the lower bracket, which I will be casting on another day. But huge congratulations to BloodKariudo. Looking at the statistics here, 22 eliminations for Zenny, who was our MVP, but the top number goes over to a tie between Crazy Kitty and Leolaz. 34 eliminations. Least amount of times getting eliminated. 2-way tie between Monkey and Kath. Both only getting taken out 4 times. Top final hits, though, it 100% goes over to Leo. Showing the Winter Soldier still has a huge amount of value when it is needed. 17 final hits. Massive output here. That is Craggy and Necros put together. And still a couple extra. In fact, it's 2 Craggies plus a Necros. Top damage. Gonna be 20k. It's a tie. So winning by 500, it is going to be Craggy. 20k, 520 versus 20k and 28. Crazy Kitty, just a little bit behind. Damage blocked. 41k for Bogor, who really put everything on the line to try and open up possibilities for their team, and they were a big reason why their team was able to find so many opportunities. Bogor and Craggy especially, they found openings when they were needed. KG also opening up with Eternal Bonds was a pretty cool thing to see, and as such, they were able to get some solid healing output with 33k. Not enough though, as 234k, Zeddy and Kath both out healed, with the star going over to Kath with 34k and 400 compared to just a clean 34k of Zeddy. But Zeddy, 22 eliminations, 5 times getting taken out, 39 assists, 6 final hits, the same amount as Craggy, while doing 9k damage as well and getting the second highest healing. A well-deserved MVP for Zeddy. And that's it for our first series of the day. We have another one coming up for you though, so let me get loaded into that. We're going to have Not One Tricks versus Blacklisted. So let's get this loaded up. Not OTPs, sorry. I don't think they're... Not One Trick Ponies is what that could be. To be fair, it could be Not One True Pairing, depending on what fandom you're from. Alright, this is our second series of the day. Who will be joining BloodKariudo in the Ignite Finals? Let's find out. As we are heading in to our first game of this best of 3 series. Looks like one of these teams named themselves. It is going to be Not OTPs on the left with some very familiar names versus Blacklisted, also with some very familiar names, especially if you watch my high-level Marvel Rivals ranked cast, where I cast some ranked games in between seasons. Gonna see the penny banned out immediately. This is the issue when your name is something like Not OTPs. You immediately see someone like Cringe Alarm and you're like, nope, goodbye Penny. You immediately see someone like Raziel and you're like, maybe we ban Spider-Man. We'll have to see if that's what they do though. Nope, Spider-Man will get protected by Not OTPs. What is going to be the protection for Blacklisted? This is post the patch. Meaning that we may not be seeing something like Jerky on their Jeff, as Jeff was extremely altered in the recent patch. He's pretty good. We are seeing him actually getting played in Jeff Nado compositions. Not much outside of that, though. Jerky right now is hovering the Squirrel Girl, who is also seeing a little bit of a resurgence. We'll see if that continues throughout the season. Ultron protected. Magneto taken away. Venom still available, so if they are planning on Spider-Manning, they are leaving the combo up as the Punisher gets removed. Opening up the possibility for, say, a Groot. But with a Wolverine in case they need to counter it themselves. Captain America will be protected here. A little bit of backline dive. Adam Warlock removed from play just in case there's a Star-Lord style. And the final ban for Not OTPs. It's going to be Psylocke. They don't want to deal with that backline burst.
Pick your hero or villain. I'm not judging.
We're looking at, as usual, triple strategist with Ultron. It's going to be Jerky on that Ultron for the side of Blacklisted, who have renamed, actually. Let me double check what their name is. I'll say it once, but I'll call them what their name is on screen for the sake of convenience for this moment. They have renamed to L9. So you know what to look for in future tournaments. Not OTPs, though. We are seeing the Spider-Man make its way onto the board. No Venom to go with it here. They choose not to, but they are also bringing out new Thor, which we have seen a little bit in our America casts. But will they stick with it? No real team up so far. See if that makes it in.
It is always reassuring to have
Saitomoto
Midgard.
on the Captain America. Their dive potential, Blacklisted, has such an insane rush comp here with the Thing and Captain America. The Thing is so good into Spider-Man, which can really prevent dashes. Can also affect the Thor. And of course, the Wolverine. It's like Blacklisted kind of built to counteract the composition as they take down Spider-Man so quickly. Crisis with the pickup there. Saitomoto already pressuring the backline. Vibranian energy saw, and they are rushing exactly as we predicted. Hyper aggressive, chase them down, don't give them room to breathe. That's exactly what we see. That is going to be point number 1. Raziel chased down again, not able to get the finishing blow, but forces them off the point. And no room to breathe is being given up at all. As Blacklisted have the first percentage on the board. Grapher try to open up with the Mr. Fantastic here. Giving their team a little bit of armor. Kraken impact though comes in from Crisis. Both the strategists are eliminated here, and it's gonna be an absolute massacre onto the Thor, locking them down, and that was a full team wipe. Kraken impact is still available. Could just go in for only legs here. The terrain will block it out though. Just gonna let it go down. 45% approaching 50 right off the bat here for Blacklisted. As their pressure has been relentless. No opening, clobbering time with the Rage of Ultron. Invisible Boundary is trying to buy a little bit of time, has to get out of there. The dynamic flight. And Embattled Leap will allow Rossa to get out of danger, but they're still holding the line. Lovely bionic hook, but they're kept topped up with the snowball. Fate of both worlds will be activated. Freedom charge to the backline as Jerky is finally going to be taken down. Saitomoto pushing in. God of Thunder for Cringe Alarm, but they're keeping this push going. Aya Magamoto coming down, trying to take out Saitomoto. Kraken impact from Raziel this time. Off the Spider-Man, onto the Winter Soldier, and they claim the point back. 81% to 3 in favor of Blacklisted. But that's going to be not OTPs claiming the point. Now can they set as an effective a hold-up? We will see. This hyper-aggressive Blacklisted style. Battle Leap pushing on Stone Haymakers for the openers as Gonski with that God of Mischief. Clobbering time, locks down Raziel, but they're focusing down so much healing but too much targeting. In Battle Leap, that was an interesting interaction. Brainiac Bounce gets shut down. Cringe Alarm was trying to take out Jerky, but is in a little bit of trouble here. Gonski swaps away, gets out of danger. Awakening Rune, trying to take out the lamps, but goes down. Raziel comes in on the Spider-Man to buy time on the point to give their team an extra couple seconds of cap. Gives them a little extra time on the point. AMZ V12 will be portaling in so that the team can go together to group up onto the point to buy the extra time. The knockups from the Yancey Street charge coming in from Rossa, who's getting focused down. Rage of Ultron, keeping their team topped up, just aiming onto the point. Following Saitomoto and the Thing. Making sure that the team is sustained. They're dropping extremely low. That Invisible Boundary making it very hard for them to follow up. The Kraken impact comes in for Crisis, the 1-for-1, but that's an elimination. Another chasing down onto Ikaki. I couldn't work out how to pronounce that one for a second, but Crisis is cleaning up right now, looking for the Strange, takes them down. And we will, with the team up to take them down. Extra style points. Blacklisted take round number 1, claiming the Stellar Spaceport as we head to the Imperial Institute of Science. The sheer speed at which Blacklisted are claiming these fights. It is the hyper-aggressive rush and dive comp.
30
And it seems to be working.
Get ready. Read.
Not OTPs, they're going to be sticking with the same strat here, sticking with this Mr. Fantastic. Raziel has Kraken Impact available, so almost certainly will be sticking with this Winter Soldier. See if they can get a quick early fight, in case they might swap to something like the Spider-Man later on, because a reminder, Venom was not bad. Could go in for that classic combo. And Blacklisted, extremely happy with their composition. It's working very well, are going to be rocking the exact same thing.
Got it?
Gonna rush in. Speed is of the essence to claim the point. Saint looking out in case Spider-Man tried to pull someone off the side of the map, blocking for their team. Really smart. Making sure they had a good option here. Now Raziel has this Kraken Impact. If they can find an early pickup, that would be huge. Through down the hole. Quite a few people go down, but Rossa able to get down. Kraken Impact. Immediately regeneration domain. To find that little bit of extra time, and if they can find a single elimination, they're going to get the reset. They take out the Loki clone. Diving onto the backline. Raziel, tainted shock, knocked up. Clobbering time as no one has actually gone down. It's all been Loki clones. Rage of Ultron coming in from Jerky as they try to chase down over this wall, keeping their team topped up. Gonski goes down though. Ikaki going down in exchange, the 1-for-1 so far in this fight as Crisis is dropping their own Kraken Impacts, finds Raziel for the reset. Not going to find another reset, but will find eliminations. Cringe Alarm goes down with the team up onto Graf, and they're going to stagger the elimination here. And this is bad news. Graf needs to be running towards a ledge right now. They are so delayed now compared to the rest of their team. They needed to try and run to a ledge to try and make sure that they got eliminated faster so that they could rejoin their team as quick as possible. Aura farming will only get you so far in a Marvel Rivals qualifier. For Ignite, nonetheless. Bookshelf, protect me, books! Saitamoto diving deep. Aya Magamoto gonna be blocked, put on the half cooldown here as the interruption came in. Jerky takes out only legs. Cringe Alarm goes down to Crisis, and Saitamoto is in the backline trying to get onto Raziel. The focus is big, takes the fight. And once again, Blacklisted are setting up a containment as their hyper-aggression starts to lock down once again. Holding the line, keeping the pressure on. Going to the backline, another clobbering time for the shutdown. Jerky tracking them all the way back to spawn. And it is an absolute melting once again. And non-OTPs, they can't even leave the base at this point.
Shielded from harm.
Holding the line as best they can. Remember, whoever loses this is not out. They have another opportunity to try and earn their spot in the lower bracket. And right now, as Crisis lands another Kraken Impact to take out Raziel, the momentum is huge. God of Thunder to try and take him out. It's a double, and that might be the opening the Blacklisted need. The non-OTPs need, sorry. As Blacklisted are still trying to take the fight. It's currently 3 members down. Cringe Alarm is rushing the objective, and they will take it. Raziel on Spider-Man to make sure they've reached the point in time. They've broken the containment. Saitamoto in the duel. Raziel forced to retreat. Guardian barrier. They want that cap. Not going to be able to get him. Saitamoto already gone. Retreats back to the rest of their team. Not OTPs, not finding the opening as of yet. Hydrated Energy Saw. Freedom Charge into the backline to try and take down the strategist, doing a lot of damage here. And Rossa with the clobbering time. Graffer is down, Raziel is down, and it's yet another hyper speed momentum pickup that Blacklisted seem to do so well. They are cleaning up here and look like they're going to claim the point. That's going to be game number 1, going over to Blacklisted, taking the 2-0 on Beard and T'Challa. Barely giving a second of time for their opponents to react. Crisis will take MVP, not too surprising there. The resets on that Kraken Impact worked very effectively for him. as the lead is claimed. Blacklisted gathering the lead in this series. That is going to be the MVP going over to Crisis with 30 eliminations, which is easily the top amount. Least amount of times getting eliminated is Seitamoto. Just constantly pressuring the backline on this Captain America, being irritating, rushing people down. Top final hits, unsurprisingly, is Crisis. 19 final hits. Hang on, I'm doing some maths. 4, 6, 13, 15, 16, 17! Crisis got more final hits than the entire enemy team combined. What a setup here. The lead being firmly established by Blacklisted, aka L9. Top damage, of course. Crisis, 22,000. Top damage blocked. A little bit closer this time, but it will be 27k of TTV AMZ V12. Able to get 27,003k more than Rosa, who was second place. And top healing. Only legs doing the best they could to try and keep their team topped up, but just getting overwhelmed. But they still topped the healing charts here with 21k. It was also a double support versus a triple strategist, meaning that the triple strategist, their heals are a little bit more spread out here. You can see that here with Akaki getting 17k, which is also more than any of the triple strategists. Gonski with 16k, Jerky with 10, and Pinclone with 14,000. That's going to be game number 1 of this best of 3 with Blacklisted, aka L9, taking the lead. And I'm going to get a set up for map number 2. Will not OTPs be able to bring this back, or will Blacklisted be able to claim victory and establish their spot in Marvel Rivals Ignite? Remember, whoever loses this, there's still a lower bracket they get to go through, so they still have time to try and turn it round. We're heading to Symbiotic Surface for map number 2. Let's head on over. Team still the same side. Not OTPs, aka Team A, as they did not name their team here, will be on the defense. Blacklisted, aka L9, on the right-hand side. Starting off once again, banning out the penny, not wanting to give that over to Cringe Alarm. I'm going to see the ban onto the Emma Frost. Really good tanking values, very sensible removal here. Magneto also going to be protected this time, even without that Emma Frost. Still one of the best characters, and this time Groot is protected. Wasn't even touched in the last game, but will actually be picked up this time. Blacklisted, making sure that's secure, and banning the Wolverine to make sure that one of the big counters to it will be removed. There's a counter ban, though, with non-OTPs, removing Seitamoto's Captain America. Seitamoto, though, already seems prepared, hovering the Venom here. Continuing their hyper-aggressive dive style of comp. Jerky not even looking at the Ultron here, potentially expecting that to be banned as well. We'll have to see. No protection coming in from the side of non-OTPs. Blacklisted. They could protect the Ultron here, and they do, so Jerky will be swapping off the torch back onto that, most likely. And Adam Warlock taken away, removing the Star-Lord composition. Star-Lord could still be played, but removing those cocoons means it's significantly less sticky. Cannot hold the point as effectively. Not OTPs, final ban. What else is worth taking out here? Hela gonna get removed here. Iron Man has snuck through the ban phase here, meaning we could see the Ultron Iron Man combo, but no, Raziel is deciding to pick up the Human Torch here. What is it about Spider-Man players also being Torch players? Grapher is once again looking at Mr. Fantastic. Rosa bringing in the Groot. Seitamoto, significantly less aggressive, and it's a significantly less aggressive composition for Blacklisted. Way less dive. They're going for a bit more of a slow and steady push with Groot and the Magneto. Whereas non-OTPs going with a composition that would not be out of place in Season 2, yet again in Season 2.5. Strange, Magneto, Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic making their way in here for that extra tankiness. But running that Human Torch, it did get minor nerfs, but we're still seeing people play it. We've been seeing even a little bit of the Firestorm combo.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Let's see if they can hold this back. As remember, it's 1-0 right now to Blacklisted. If non-OTPs can't take this game, then they are sent down to the lower bracket. And Blacklisted will already be qualified for Ignite. Pyro Prison trying to cut off the hallway here, but it's going for a big side wraparound. They can use Groot to make their way up to the high ground and go in for the early flank here. Getting topped up, making their way forward. Knockback. Maximizing damage output. In the meantime, Jerky's on the flank. Keeping the pressure on. Need to put that drone on someone. There we go. Keeping it on their main damage dealer, Crisis, who's looking for pickup. Raziel is getting focused down here. The hit scan that is Ultron is so effective. See a little bit of trading. Raziel is on the flank, trying to get a little bit of counter damage, trying to take out Crisis. But the healing output is a little bit too much right now. Flaming Media getting the knockback onto the backline as they try to rush on in. Instead, it's the pickup as Jerky, with that Rage of Ultra, cleans up, heals up Rosa. And they're going to try and contest this. That is going to be a supernova from Gonski, who copied the opposing Human Torch with Loki to give their team more damage, and they wipe the point. Blacklisted. It is so rare to see anyone copy anything that isn't a strategist ultimate here. Raziel almost dropped out of the sky with that tainted voltage, but copying Raziel, Gonski, to give their team the burst to clean up the point. What a play here. AMZ, though, does have Eye of Agamotto to look maybe for a turnaround as they try to claim the high ground. Bardock is blocked out with the Eye of Bulwark. But forced down to the lower ground, taking a little bit too much damage here. Holding the line at least for the moment. Saint the Moto. Sieging from above with the high ground in favor. Nice knockback, sets up the elimination. Here comes the counter supernova. Media M is blocking so much of that damage. Will still be able to send it a little bit, trying to claim back that high ground, but currently with 3 of their teammates down, is there anything that can be done about this? Raziel forced to back up. Grapha onto the Moon Knight, chased down as Crisis is relentless. Blacklisted, even with a much less dive-heavy composition. They pushed up a little bit too far here as the portal came in behind them, meaning that now Blacklisted are in the defensive position, the defenders are in the offensive position, and they're holding the cart. Keep an eye behind them on that portal, just in case someone tries to sneak on through. Grapha, Moon Knight, sends in the Fist of Conjure to try and hold the points. Draggly Prism, Kraken Impact, but Crisis gets obliterated in this fight. As he's still holding on to that Eye of Agamotto, buying themselves as much time as possible before they drop it, trying to wait out any of the healing here as Gonski chains together another fade of both worlds here. Here comes the Eye. Finds no one in the backline. Pushing on in here, counter portal from Crisis to reinforce their team with 3 minutes to go. They're doing this extremely early, but might as well. Reinforce, take the time while you can. Rage of Ultron. Cringe Alarm, who's back on the Thor, God of Thunder, but is blocked out with that regeneration domain as Grapha comes on in with yet another Fist of Khonshu directly onto the point to try and focus them down. Straggling Prison comes down from Rosa, who will still be taken down. Raziel, only legs, and Grapha will get eliminated though. Ikaki is trying to keep that Strange topped up, but they go down. Cringe Alarm is down, and that is the last remaining defender, meaning point number 2 will go over to Blacklisted. On their way towards a potential triple cap. Blacklisted looking to try and zone and shut out non-OTPs here and earn their spot in Ignite. Eye of Agamotto already back off cooldown for AMZ. Damage output is insane here. Bionic Hook not going to be landing. The Media M to block out some of that Supernova. Straggling Prison comes on out. Seido Moto chasing down Crindalar, but there's the counter. But Invisible Bandit, they're going to try and focus onto the Invisible Woman to set them up here. Hayamagamoto onto the Lunar Snow, taking them out quickly, but Christ is able to get the first pickup onto the Invisible Woman, preventing that Invisible Bounty from keeping on anymore as the Kraken impacts are resetting across the board here. The card keeps on moving. Kraken impact. They decide not to dive the entrance. That's a great way to get picked up. Raziel has brought out Storm here to try and get a little bit of a counter pickup. Damage output's good. Jerky is still in the sky though, still a hit scan. Straggling Prison onto the Strategist, Rage of Ultron to burst on through. Rossa and Jerky are cleaning up here. God of Thunder, but they take them down and the cart moves in. That's a triple cap for Blacklisted.
The current score is 0-2-3.
And now it's all about the counter push.
Side you're on.
If non-OTPs can't get a triple cap, then they are sent down to the lower bracket. And Blacklisted will be moving on to Marvel Rivals Ignite. Iron Fist may be making an appearance here. They're tired of this Ultron. Time to punch it. No adjustments by the looks of it from Blacklisted, except that Rosa will be starting on Doctor Strange instead of the Groot. Portal? Is this a portal trap? We haven't seen one in a while. Yes, it is!
Get ready.
Okay. Let's see who falls for it. Let's see if I can get the angle that gets both the portal and also the other side in. Can I get the perfect camera angle? Let's see. Okay. This is, I think, the best I'm going to do. Will they fall for it?
The battle starts in 5.
This could be incredibly demoralizing.
3, 2, 1.
One. Portal.
Capture the missionary.
Ooh, so close. Where's the other end? Can't see it. Where is the other end? Oh, there it is. Oh, it was way further back. I was super off. All right. No one's going to get caught by it. Morale is still going to remain high for the members of non-OTPs as they try to make their way back in for the beginning of their counter. Focusing onto Rosa with that percentage damage that Iron Fist does now do for quite a little bit of extra focus up to the high ground. Trying to get onto Ultron with Dynamic Flight, who's able to get out of danger. Deflect, retreat. But they have to turn back around onto the Strange and back away. Wait for their team to come back in, up to the high ground. And keeping that focus going, but their teammates are just getting taken out so fast. Raziel and Crindalar are both taken out. Kraken impact for Crisis, who gets 2. Chasing in, blocked by that little bridge area, that little crane, preventing one more Kraken impact. But Jerky is still able to snipe Grapher. Jerky up on the high ground, just sieging away here. See Storm attempting to trade some shots back. Rage of Ultron already up. Gonna be dropping it right off the back, immediately into the back line, but it's gonna be a fate of both worlds and the regeneration domain coming out, staggering together here. Ayamagamoto focusing onto Crindalar to try and take him down, and they do through the fate of both worlds here. Raziel is down the target with the focus from the beam, wipes them off the board. And with 2 minutes left, this is not looking great for the side of non-OTPs. Blacklisted, though, they are starting to get closer and closer to securing their spot. Counter portal. Portal onto the point to give them another chance to try and dive this, try and turn this round, give them some extra time. with Living Weapon into the backline. But who's the target? They would love to get Jerky, who dashes away. Dynamic Flight and that Imperative Patch with Imperative Firewall. But they find no one. Crisis will finally go down. Aya Magamoto opens up, which means we have Omega Hurricane. This could be it. As we're starting to see the cleanup, Rosso will fall, which means no portal to bring the team back. Point number 1 will be grabbed with just over a minute to go. Making their way out, Jerky. Topping up the team once again. Imperative Patch. Keep the team topped up with that Ultron drone and the Firewall. So a little bit of extra burst. Cringe Alarm on the new Thor, continuing to pile on the pressure into that Awakening Rune as often as possible. Get that bonus health. Lockdown, focus down. Here comes another Rage of Ultron, but they're being focused down here. Graf is trying to take them out. Saitamoto, Media M, Aya Magamoto onto the backline, but it's going to be sustained with the Fate of Both Worlds from Mikaki. Rosso took out Cringe Alarm as they push on in. Fate of Both Worlds counter from Gonski as they push on to that card to try and zone back the members of non-OTPs to try and take them off the point. Blacklisted in control right now. Nice lockdown. Will take out AMZ. Only leg sent back. 2.5 minutes left remaining. Living Weapon with most of their team taken out. Not waiting for them at all. And Graffa buying some time, creating a distraction here, but not finding a single elimination with that ultimate. We do have another Omega Hurricane. Do they try and combo it with the God of Thunder? Diving in. God of Thunder, Omega Hurricane, it's huge, that's a double Crisis, Pin Clone, Rosa, Gonski, and that's what we love to see. Team Lightning and Thunder taking down everyone. Non-OTPs claiming back control. With 1 minute and 48 to go. Rosa still on this Strange. They're going for the long wraparound. Immediately finds Graffa. Gonna bonus health up a little bit. Took a little bit too much damage for that. The cart's still moving forward. They do need to make their way in. Rosa, Aya Magamoto through the doorway onto basically all of the backline members, but it's still going to be that Fate of Both Worlds, which will buy on the extra time. Counter Fate of Both Worlds from Pink Clone to hold this together. Media M finds nothing. No extra damage as only legs will bring out the second Fate of Both Worlds. Gonski with their own as well, so both teams are trying to buy as much time as possible. Living Weapon back off cooldown as they try to focus onto Jerky with the Firewall Imperative to buy the extra time. God of Thunder takes out Pin Clone, but Ikaki goes down to Rosa. Kraken impact for Crisis if they find the resets here. Reset number 1, getting the Loki clones and the real Loki. Loki clone again to keep the fight going, to keep the resets coming. 44 seconds remaining. Jerky sieging in from a distance. Trying to maximize that damage onto Cringe Alarm. Raziel. Poking away. Has that Omega Hurricane. They have to make sure that they touch this cart with 17 seconds remaining or it is all over. Living Weapon, McGraffer is obliterated. Omega Hurricane to try and delay, to try and do damage, but they get wiped here. Aya Magamoto comes on out. It's ATV, it's AMZ trying to delay, trying to buy time, but no one is left. Raziel to Spider-Man for the fast rollout to try and touch it. Look at the speed, but no! In the last possible second, they just don't touch the point in time. That is GG. And Blacklisted will be moving on to Marvel Rivals Ignite. Jerky takes MVP. Jerky, a friend of the channel, they've sent in replays before. They've been super helpful. As they take the 2-0. and will be qualifying for Marvel Rivals Ignite, which is why they changed their name to L9. Now we can say that as that series is over. It's not over for OTPs yet. Not OTPs, sorry. As they still have the opportunity to push on in at their own pace in that lower bracket. One more opportunity to try and make it into Ignite. Looking at the statistics here. 41 eliminations. Once again, Crisis is popping off here. They also have top damage with 27k, top final hits with 23. Let's do the maths again. 9, 12, 16, 17. Quite a few more. 6 more than the entire enemy team combined. Didn't manage to get double this time, but still did some good work. Least amount of times getting eliminated. Two-way tie between Gonski and Jerky. And top damage blocked, 52k by Rosa. So far, it's all the stats in favor of Blacklisted. Just short on the healing, though. Only legs with 36k beaten out by Gonski, but Gonski beaten out by 2k as Isaki, or Ikaki 2k, got 39,000 healing, just more than Gonski's 37k. Incredibly good game. Not over yet. There's still a chance for the comebacks. Remember, there were 6 spots available for EMEA. But that is it for this video. I'm going to go take a break. Probably end the stream. I'll do the other one offline, but I hope people enjoy. Remember to follow the stream. It's in the description, so you can see when I go live and when I do some of these casts live and say hello there. But for now, I hope you've all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, become a member if you want to support. Follow the Twitch and subscribe over there. Hit that thanks button. Watch these videos all the way through without ad block on. Would be lovely. There is a playlist of all of the qualifying games for Marvel Rivals Ignite so that you can see the journey of a lot of the teams that are making it in through this open qualifier system. For now, though, I have been Tetcher. I'm going to take a break. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.